To order, everyone please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meeting of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Cedar Grove Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be advertised by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on bulletin boards in the district, published and/or transmitted to the Verona Cedar Grove Times and Star Ledger newspapers, filed with the township clerk, and posted on the district's website. May I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Burke?
Here.
Mrs. Dye?
Here.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Here.
Mr. Mandela?
Here.
And Mr. Sakala?
Here. The meeting is open to the public for comment for items on the agenda. Yes, step to the microphone, please, Mrs. Weber, and state your name and address.
I like this. This is the first.
Hello, my name is Barbara Weber. I live at 160 Sherman Ave. I've lived here for 40 years. I've been a parent since 1986, teacher for 25 years. Speaking as a parent and member of the township. The last item, agenda posted on the district website. It was 7:45, 8 o'clock, not posted. How can we comment on anything on this agenda or any agenda in the past several weeks if we don't have an opportunity to look at it? Question.
First, just to clarify, that's the announcement of the meeting on the agenda on the
But
website.
if we
which
don't
was,
have-
But I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying this to be contrary to what you're saying. I'm just
I'm
letting
not-
you know that the Open Public Meetings Law requires a notice of the meeting to be posted, not the agenda. It's our own board's initiative that we post the agenda on the website. And I understand from you before the meeting today that didn't happen, and I understand possibly at one of the previous two meetings that may not have happened. I can tell you that I asked a question in a meeting with the board secretary and the superintendent on Friday, and I was told that it would be posted it's usually posted around 3:30, between 3:30 and 5 o'clock on the night of the meeting, and I'm going to make sure that this does not happen again, because you are correct. It should be posted on the website. I don't know why it wasn't, and I apologize to the members of the public that were looking for it, that don't have it, but I think that it would be, it's not a policy, it's not a requirement, but I think it's good practice to do it, and I'm going to ask Mr. Featherman to make sure that occurs from here on forward.
If you're looking for transparency, this would be a great step for the community. Because if I work in the district, if I work till 5 o'clock, I go home and cook dinner, and I'm here at 8 o'clock, or watching it on television, which my husband and I very often do. We're watching it on television and we don't have the agenda. You're voting on 100 things all at once, and we don't know what you're talking about. And we look at it weeks later, posted as the minutes, and it's been voted on without possible comment, as when we used to vote on the finances. We don't any longer. We wouldn't be able to comment. We didn't know what was coming up. Without it posted previously, we don't have the opportunity to comment. I've been here a long time. I've seen people come and go. And if we're looking for transparency, the agenda is the least of the issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comment for items on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. Do we have any committee reports this evening?
We do. I attended the middle school FSA meeting on the 2nd last Monday, and there's a lot going on there. So both Mr. DeCourt and Mr. Chell were there. As most of you know, Mr. Chell is our new vice principal, so he welcomed Mr. Chell. That day was day one of Park. He had thought he went well. He was very happy about that. They talked about the Student Faculty Challenge, which is coming up this Thursday at the high school. They talked about, this is interesting, for cultural arts, every year they try to bring in something specific for the grade level. This year they're thinking of trying to do some kind of career fair type of presentation. As far as a lot of times, like when you're in the elementary schools, you kind of have an idea of what you might want to be, and it may not be what you turn out that you're going to be. And then in high school, you're starting to think about your career. But they said in the middle school, you're kind of not. And so they thought that might be an interesting presentation to kind of different kinds of careers for the kids to kind of think about. The musical, The Little Mermaid, will be May 8th and 9th. This, I think, is great. I don't know if most of you know Scott Chesney. He lives in Verona. He is an ambassador for the Christopher Reeves Foundation, and he contacted us that he wanted to speak at the middle school if Mr. DeCourt was interested, and they spoke. And so he is going to speak to the entire group on Friday, March 13th at 1:30 about being tolerant and kind and understanding. And for those of you who don't know Scott Chesney, he's a speaker, a motivational speaker, and life coach, and he has spoken at I don't even know how many schools. He spoke at South End a few years ago, and he's really great, and the kids all respond very well to him, so we were really excited to hear that. The middle school had their Bunko fundraiser on Friday, March 6th, and it was a lot of fun, and it was great that both Mr. DeCourt and Mr. Chell participated, and that was kind of fun. TREPS, the annual TREPS, will be this Sunday from 4 to 6 at the high school. So it'd be great if you could come and support the young entrepreneurs. They talked about some of the field trips. The field day is going to be the end of June. Graduation for the 8th graders will be Thursday, June 18th, 6:30. And the next meeting will be April 13th at 7 p.m. A lot going on at the middle school.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is that your only report?
It is, amazingly.
Any other committee reports?
Just to confirm on the TREPS, it starts at 4, but if board members, they're doing the ribbon cutting 3:30,
yeah,
right?
3:30 for board members, exactly. The marketplace is from 4 to 6, to clarify. At the high school, yes.
I have a report. How'd you know I had a report?
I was just looking.
You were just looking
I'm just looking at Mrs. Dye down there.
I have a rec board meeting report that I attended first Wednesday of the month, so I guess it was last Wednesday. And some new things happening in town there. There's going to be a high school age and also an adult age pickleball program, which, yeah, I didn't know what pickleball was either.
Put the two things and you throw the ball at the person in the middle?
I thought it was, no. I think, I had never heard of it either, but apparently it's pretty big because people that were on the rec board were pretty excited about it because other towns obviously have it. You play on the tennis courts, but they make it a smaller court, and you use a bigger type wiffle ball with paddles, and you play, that's what it is. So they're bringing pickleball to Cedar Grove for adults and high school age. We will have also, I couldn't wait to report on that one. That's a, what's that? Pickle, like pickle. And actually, somebody actually had the whole background of where it got the name pickle. It was this man's name, and it was a whole, and I was like shocked that they even knew where it even began and all that kind of stuff. So apparently it's a pretty huge
Very
sport.
informative rec board meeting that
Yeah.
night.
So we're also
I know.
going to have a 4th to 8th grade track program with West Essex. And now that will allow us to participate in actual meets. Instead of just being a clinic, it'll now be where the 4th to 8th graders will actually be in track meets, which I thought was a great thing at it. Also, our director is applying for grants, And right now, she's hoping to get up to a $15,000 grant, which a decision will be made in May through Shaping New Jersey, it's called. And there'll be programs. She's looking at bringing in chefs to Morgan's Farm and have like a whole day of healthy type events going on, concluding with chefs at Morgan's Farm. So those are some of the ideas. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then also we'll have 3 to 6 year old T-ball through an outside organization now that'll be run through USA Sports Institution for 3 to 6 year olds. So those are some of the new things happening. And pool rates have been posted for those of you that don't know that. So that's all underway as well. So that's my update from Rec Board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further committee reports? I don't really have a committee report, but I want to say congratulations to Ms. Jessen and Mr. Cannella and all the high school students for your in town. I was very, very surprised. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and I can tell you it was fantastic. And these kids, they did such an unbelievable job. I was really, really, really pleasantly surprised. They were great. So I want to say congratulations to all of the actors and the crew and everyone involved. Music matters, and it was a great night. So congratulations. Okay, moving on the agenda. Under minutes from the Office of the Business Administrator and Board Secretary. Under minutes, may I have a motion for B1 and B2? B1 is a motion to approve the public and executive minutes of February 23rd, 2015. And B2 is a motion to approve the board secretary certification to the Cedar Grove Board of Education pursuant to the administrative code that no line item account has encumbrances or expenditures which in total exceed the line item appropriation in violation of the code. May I have a motion for those two items, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
Mr. Mandela?
Aye.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes. Before I call the next item, do we have copies of the?
Yes.
Okay, can we pass those out to the members of the public? Just so everyone is aware, there is one agenda item which had some blanks on it. It was just determined how it was going to be filled in executive session. We're passing it out now, so everyone has a copy of it. So I'll give everyone a second to take a look at it, and I'll wait a minute before I call the next item. If we don't have enough copies, I apologize. Maybe you can look on or read it and pass it down.
We don't have the code for the copy.
Exactly.
We just approved this.
Yeah. Okay, under business items B3 and B4, again, B3 is an item with which we just resolved in executive session, so it's being presented now. It wasn't on the agenda prior. B3 is our tentative 2015-2016 budget. Resolved that the following tentative budget, annual district budget statement, and supporting documentation for the 2015-2016 school year be submitted for approval to the Essex County Superintendent of Schools. And it's set forth there what our appropriations and the tax levy will be for the general fund, the special revenue fund, the debt service fund, and the total base budget, which the tax levy would be $26,506,111. Be it further resolved, School District Policy 6471, expense reimbursements and the Administrative Code, Section 6A:23B-1.2b, provides that the Board of Education shall establish in the annual school district budget a maximum expenditure that may be allotted for such travel, expense reimbursement, and registrations. The Board of Education hereby establishes a maximum expenditure amount from the 2015-2016 school year to be $150 per employee. Be it still further resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the school business administrator / board secretary, uses the health care cost adjustment of $46,611 and the 2015-2016 cap banking eligibility in the amount of $310,022 for the purpose of adding 5 additional staff personnel and related benefits to maintain the recently created reading intervention specialist position and related benefits, and to increase the .7 part-time music position to full-time. And also a motion for, I'm sorry, there's one more part to that that's not there. Be it resolved that the public hearing on the proposed budget be held on April 28th, 2015, at 8 p.m. in the North End Elementary School Media Center. And B4 is a motion to approve the annual contract support agreement with Computer Solutions for the 2015-2016 school year in the amount of $9,492. May I have a motion for those two items, please?
So moved.
Second.
With regard to item B3, Ms. Tavernier, will you just give us an overview briefly? I know that this is something that is tentative. We're presenting it now. It may change by the time we get to our budget hearing, but if you can just
Right,
kind of go over
you know-
what we're looking at?
By requirement, we need to have a tentative budget submitted to the county office, and with the governor's state aid, with his budget address and the release of the state aid numbers, we were able to finish up the budget process for this tentative budget this week, and due to the scheduling of our meetings, this is the first meeting of the month, that we are presenting this tentative budget. The general fund tax levy, there is a slight increase over the 2%, and that is due to the usage of the bank cap. Bank cap is a permissible adjustment for the tax levy if it is determined that you fall into one of 3 categories. We have excessive health insurance costs that have exceeded what the state mandates as being permissible. The state gives a percentage. We have exceeded those costs in the amount of $310,000 over the course of 3 years. We've been very fortunate in the fact that our experience rating has kept those increases to a low. Each year over the past 3 years, this is the 3rd year of it, we'll probably, we anticipate having a 12% increase in the insurance costs. Members of the state employee health benefits is experiencing increases anywhere from 16 to 17 to possibly 18%, or those districts in private plans could very well have an increase of over 20%. As I say, we have a great experience rating. Our great experience rating has only driven up our costs approximately 10% over the past 3 years per year. The increase that we're taking gives us the ability to hire 5 additional staff personnel. You may be asking, why do you need 5 additional staff personnel? This current school year, we've experienced in a growth in our special education needs expenses. We had families that their child is being, their IEPs that they've been evaluated that are requiring in-district services or possibly out-of-district tuition placements. Because of the increase in those costs for this year, we, being good stewards, have to budget these expenses out, because once the IEP is in place for 1 full year, the students are entitled to that services. Next year, when the IEPs are the caseworkers and the CST professionals look at that and they determine whether the student still needs as many services as what's currently in the IEP. That being said, we needed to increase our special ed costs in excess of what we've normally done, and especially for what we budgeted for this year. So it was necessary for us to move forward with the bank cap adjustment. The bank cap is something that we're looking at right now because the tentative budget is due to the county superintendent's office by next week, that we will still be doing further tweaking. There's the possibility that we may be able to reduce that bank cap should we be given information from parties within the district or professional service providers that we could potentially reduce the additional $310,000 bank cap adjustment.
And we'll be having budget presentations as we
you know,
move toward our...
throughout the course of the next 3 meetings, you know, we have the end of month meeting this month, and then 2 meetings in April. The April 28th meeting will be the formal presentation by Mr. Featherman and myself.
So we can confidently say the next 3 meetings will have budget presentations on different
As-
areas.
right,
Every
as-
meeting will
as what
have
we've
a
done
different area that will kind
over
of
the past
dissect
several
and
years.
present. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any comment? May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Mandela?
Aye.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes. Under Personnel, may I have a motion for S1 through S12? S1 is a motion to approve the school calendar for the 2015-2016 school year. S2 is a motion to approve Alexandria Valley Memorial Middle School speech teacher at MA Step C, as set forth therein. S3 is a motion to appoint the following staff in accordance with the state emergent hiring procedures, as set forth in that item. S4 is a motion to retroactively approve the resignation of Amy Lyons, as set forth therein. S5 is a motion to approve Nicole Velarde, girls JV softball coach, as set forth in that item. S6 is a motion to approve on second reading the proposal to allow the Cedar Grove High School AP History, Government and Politics, and Economics classes to participate in a trip to Washington, D.C. S7 is a motion to approve on second reading the proposal to allow the Cedar Grove High School music exchange trip to Vermont, as set forth in that item. S8 is a motion to retroactively approve on first reading the proposal to allow the qualified wrestlers from Cedar Grove to attend the NJSIAA Individual Wrestling State Championships in Atlantic City. S9 is a motion to reimburse the school-based volunteers for fingerprinting, as set forth in that item. S10 is a motion to approve the volunteers as set forth in that item as school volunteers. S11 is to authorize a motion to authorize the attendance of the employees as set forth in that item at the events as set forth therein. And S12 is a motion to approve the substitutes for the 2014-2015 school year at the rate therein as set forth in that item. May I have a motion for those items, please?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Fedman, you want to just briefly talk about our school calendar for next year before we move on to the vote on that?
We've been working closely with the CGEA to develop a calendar that works in both of our interests. Again, I'll remind you that we did pass the referendum, and so our mutual efforts were to shorten the school year and expand the summer so that we can tackle all of the richness that is the referendum. But in our effort to do that, we ended up adding a Jewish holiday, which we thought was the right thing to do. And because of park testing, we had to flip the spring break, which was going to be the same week as Good Friday, to the week after. So we had to take back a few of those days that we had hoped that we'd be able to take out of the calendar to shorten the school year. So we'll be starting on September 1 and ending on Friday, June 17th. And the holidays are as per the calendar.
And we'll get the calendar posted on the website.
We'll have it up there tomorrow.
Thank you. Any further discussion on any of the other items that I called? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
Mr. Mandela?
Aye.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes.
Before you go further, I might have missed it. Did you lump B3 and B4 together? Or did we miss
Yes.
B4?
No, I
Oh,
put
okay.
those together, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. The meeting is open to the public for comments on or off the agenda. Hearing none, close that portion of the meeting. Does the board have any final comments this evening? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, wait, you want to change the date?
Oh, okay, sorry about that. Before the motion to adjourn, an announcement of future meetings. March 24th, 2015 will be our next meeting here in the North End Media Center, 7 PM for executive session, 8 PM regular meeting. And our meeting following that will be April the 15th, not April the 14th. Here in the North End Media Center, we're moving it to Wednesday, April 15th. 7 PM for executive session, 8 PM for regular meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, but could we have just further discussion on this? I might have missed it. On April 14th,
Yeah, we moved it. Yeah.
we have to have it that week. I'm away that whole week. Do we have to have it that week, or do we have
Well, it's
time
the one
to?
before the budget hearing.
And the budget
so
hearing is
is
2 weeks later or the
yeah.
week later?
2 weeks.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, and the week before, that's the week off.
Right.
No, could we do it the week, the
The week of the
21st?
21st.
Oh, no, I just got that. I just realized.
21st.
I know it. As soon as I said the date,
What
I
about
knew.
the 22nd? What about the 22nd?
The
'Cause we're doing
20
the other one on the Wednesday.
Or the
22nd,
22nd?
is that something to think about?
It's Earth Day.
It's what?
Earth Day?
Hugging a tree. It's Earth Day.
Oh, I might not be able to go. I have my high school spring concert.
You could keep it the 15th. It's fine.
We
Yeah,
can-
it's fine.
we
It's
can-
just reviewing the budget stuff that night, right? Mostly. Yeah.
And we have a
so-
meeting in between then and now, so we can talk about it, by our next meeting. If we have to change it again to a different date, we'll let the public know at
Okay.
the next meeting. But tentatively for now, we'll say it's going to be April the 15th, subject to possible change, which everyone will know about at our next meeting,
Yeah, that's great.
okay?
Okay.
What would be the subject to change?
The
If we
date.
came
The
up with
date.
another date.
Oh, if we did
Right.
it like the week before, okay,
Yeah.
okay, but we'll put it on for the 15th right now, right?
Right.
Right, correct.
Good.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Dye?
Yes.
Mrs. Marinelli?
Aye.
Mr. Mandela?
Aye.
And Mr. Sakala?
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.